long queues at billing counters, struggle for exact change after payments, entering ATM PIN on the card swipe machines. Cut to 2021, simple payments on smartphones, scanning QR codes at almost every shop, from paying bills to booking movie tickets. Hassle-free and instant payments are now in the palm of your hand. Thanks to mobile wallets, the future of currency transactions. Meet one of India's top virtual wallet owners, Bipin Preet Singh, co-founder and CEO of MobiKwik, India's leading fintech platform, which is acing its consumer base in digital payments and financial services, with over 300 billers, 3 million merchants, and 120 million users in India.
I'm Jasper Reed, and this is Billion Dollar Idea. Welcome back to the show. We're joining you today. I'm in London, and our wonderful guest, Bipin Preet Singh, founder of MobiKwik, is with us in Gurgaon. This is truly a global show. Welcome, Bipin.
Thank you. Thanks, Jasper, for having me. It's my pleasure.
We're delighted to have you. Bipin, we're in awe of all of our guests on this show, but we're especially in awe of people like you who've basically built your billion-dollar enterprise from nothing, right? So we meet many promoters who are third generation. So what you've done is an astounding achievement. Tell us, I mean, you're a young man with a billion-dollar company. How does that even feel?
Well, it feels the same as it was, for a decade ago when I started the company. So it doesn't feel very different. I would like to think I've become wiser, but otherwise it's all the same. It's just very normal. But yeah, I mean, a lot of responsibility, building a company, building, a sort of movement to create financial inclusion, impact for hundreds of millions of people in India, in the space of financial services, creating new products, technology. So yeah, I mean, I think it's been a fairly gradual realization that I'm no longer in a job, but rather there is a sort of don't want to use the word burden, but there is a responsibility to deliver for everybody who's involved in the company, for the shareholders, for our customers, for the millions who use our product day in and day out.
Well, you're super cool, calm and collected, Bipin, but just staying on it for a second. Are you more stressed out than before? Do you sleep badly? I mean, our viewers often want to know, I mean, it sounds like a gradual progression, but have you changed in any profound ways? Is it truly as gradual as you say?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, over a 10-year period, it definitely feels gradual, but yeah, it's sure there are many ups and downs. And it's when you have those downs and some ups that you realize that you're doing something special. And the downs can be pretty bad as well. I mean, when you're, especially, I think remote, work and COVID has created an environment where a lot of the leaders like myself, we feel responsible for so many lives, for so many people, and for the family, of course, and for the work. And there is just a lot going on. So I think that definitely creates stress. I wouldn't deny. I mean, I have definitely found myself waking up at 3 a.m. With something in my head, which is not really very important, but it's just somewhere in the back of your mind, and you get up and you start thinking, okay, what am I going to do about that? So I think that's what I guess that's the entrepreneur's life. But then there are highs as well. Then you hit milestones. You become more successful gradually as a company. So those are the highs that you live these live the stress for.
Okay, big responsibility, Bipin. Let's go back a bit to 12 years ago when this was all starting off. I mean, you were coming out of the semiconductor world. You'd had a few jobs. You're a bright guy, obviously, by way of IIT. One of the things that our viewers really want to know, especially if they're budding entrepreneurs, is how did you even think about going about this at the beginning? You know, where did it come from? Because most people don't do it because they don't do it. What was your experience?
Well, I'm kind of person. I've always, since I'm young, I've always loved challenges and also loved doing something new. Right? I get bored very easily. And after IIT, I worked in the semiconductor industry for 7 years. Worked with some of the leading companies in the world, making chips, etc. But then I saw that this is. I mean, I'm one of many engineers working on this product and delivering something while making money, and it's better than what I had ever imagined when I was growing up. And I grew up fairly lower middle class, or I would say even poor. I chose that, I have some idea in my mind and let me work on it. And I actually worked on it while I was in my job, thought about it for about a year. And then, met Upasna, who had just come back from US after having worked at PayPal. And then she literally pushed me into it. And she said that, if you're 28, 29, you worked for 7 years, if you have to do something, do it now, or it's never going to happen. So I didn't think much, honestly, and took the risk, took the plunge, quit my job, and didn't have any security, any sort of security coming from the family or no money or capital to bound on. And remember, 10 years ago, the venture capital ecosystem and the funding ecosystem was pretty much non-existent in India. So yeah, I mean, the start was like, it was an abrupt start. It was just got started, and then after that, we just tackled each challenge as they came along our way.
Well, and it's a fantastic story, and clearly it proves the theory that behind every great man is a great woman. But talking about your background, as you say, family of modest means, no doubt sacrifices to even get you into your jobs. Were people freaking out in the family at the idea that you were going to leave these nice stable jobs?
Yeah, absolutely. I think both my family and Upasna's family were like, you went to IIT, Upasna, you went to Stanford. You can make a lot of money in India or anywhere else. So why are you? And, especially when we had started up, it was okay. But in the first year, we saw that you have to literally do everything. You have to do customer service. You have to basically spend all nights, all weekends. And they're saying, why are you doing this? Are you getting a lot of money to do this? They said, no, actually, we are putting our own money to do this. So, in India, I mean, like, we still are not, especially like we're still going after jobs. We need get into stable jobs and which pay a lot these days. So it was pretty difficult for my family to accept that what we are doing means something. But just about a few weeks ago, my mom mentioned to me that I never imagined that you would ever do something like this. I always thought you would be successful in your career, in your professional career, that you will become an officer, a big officer, whatever that means. But she said, I never imagined that, you could create an impact like this.
Yeah. What a feeling! What a feeling! Good for you. I'm sure Mrs. Singh is incredibly proud. But just kind of staying on family stuff. I mean, there aren't many couples, especially husband and wife, who build these businesses. In fact, for many husbands and wives, it's the biggest nightmare they could possibly think of. Did it always feel natural to you guys? Have you even managed that? I'm sure you get asked this all the time.
I think this is something very unique in our journey. We started off and we were also, we were dating, and then eventually we got married, and now we have a kid, and we've been running the company also for 10, 12 years. And so pretty much everything that we have is all together, right? And so that's, I don't think that's an ideal situation. We got into it. I think it's more quirk of fate than anything else, and I definitely not recommend it. You should keep your personal and professional life as separate as possible, because we becoming I mean, initially it was fun because you're working a lot with somebody that you connect with on a personal level. So, your interests are aligned and you do a lot of things together and you enjoy it. But, business is about a lot of stress and ups and downs. So I think it impacts your personal relationship in a big way. And keeping a hold of it and being self-aware about that has been, a big challenge for us. But thankfully, we are at a stage where we have built a company now where we have senior management and people who we depend on leaders to do most of the stuff. So it's not such a big thing anymore. But starting up together with your wife or with your husband or a spouse, like I think it's a I wouldn't be able to do it now. I think I don't know how I did it.
Well, that's great. I mean, we love your honesty, Bipin. We're going to get on to kind of aspects of the business and how you put it together in a second. But an upfront question to kind of short circuit that. Have you got a secret? Is there one secret? Is there one reason you've made this happen?
I think there is one word a lot of people use for me and both for me and Upasana in general as entrepreneurs, and that's resilience. We are very, very resilient, and we've put in our life's work, blood and sweat into this, and nobody can claim that we got lucky because we actually, there were many, many instances, and I wouldn't go into it, right, each of them right now, where we were terribly, terribly unlucky, right, in many, many situations. And we've taken that in our stride. And, we've been written off many, many times. So many times I cannot count it. I can send you articles where we've been written off like, okay, the company is just finished, right? And so for us, I think the biggest thing is to, do our own thing. And it's not like we're trying to prove anybody wrong, but we put in our life's work into this. So we are going to see it through and make it really a big and impactful company in the long term. It's not about money. It's not about anything else. It's just about, like creating something which hopefully will last very, very long and will impact a lot of people.
Okay. So it's it's one part, it's one part resilience. It's another part kind of endurance or stamina, if you like, Bipin. Let's dig into the business a bit. I mean, totally greenfield, initially a conceptual thing, now a big business, a lot of people, tons of customers, a lot of capital risk, big ambitions. How did you acquire kind of whole areas of business skills that you probably wouldn't have had in your, in your semiconductor life, building teams, leadership? How did you even go about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a journey of learning and a journey of self-awareness. I was always strong technically. I went to IIT, worked in semiconductors. I wrote the first piece of software in the product that we built in MobiKwik. But beyond that, then it was always about hiring the right people. I think even today, I don't think that I'm the best at any of the things that we do in our company. Although product and tech is something that I enjoy the most and try to do the best at. But things like sales, for example, right, selling something or finance, they are skills that I don't think I'm best at. I'm still learning. But we chose the path of hiring people and building a senior management team. Right now, we work with some 3 senior leaders in the company who are CEOs or senior vice presidents. They take care of all the businesses. So I guess one of the critical skills to learn in any business is just to hire good people. And that's been something that I have invested in to build it from grounds up. I've literally worked like a recruiter. I still spam candidates on LinkedIn. I send them personal messages, try to chat with them, and find out if they would be interested in talking to me and to coming over to the company. So I guess that's been the an experience, and in fact, I would say, as part of building a company, that's the biggest thing that you learn, which is to work with other people, to hire other people, and delegate enough And yeah, I mean, that's where we are today.
Okay. And, the more people you bring in, the more you create a culture. And again, your business was totally greenfield. So in that sense, it didn't have a culture when it started. What defines the culture of your business, Bipin?
So our culture has been built, and molded in the personalities of, myself and Upasana, and that's true for most companies. So our culture is very, very informal, very much both top down and bottoms up. A very great accessibility and great transparency in terms of how we work. I mean, more like a tribe, more like a collegiate atmosphere. Because a lot of people that we hired, at least early on, were all young people who were just passing out of college. I still enjoy hiring and working directly with recent college graduates or freshers, as they are called in India. And that brings in, this energy, this enthusiasm, this openness, and ability to question anything and everything, which is very critical in our business, because ultimately we are in a technology business where we could be wiped out, we could be our entire business can be threatened very, very quickly by somebody smarter building something out of a garage today. And so that's the part that I personally emphasize a lot.
Okay. And so a sort of culture of being contrary, if you like, a culture of questioning. When you think about the people, though, and you compare your generation with the generation coming up, what's your verdict, Bipin, on young talent in India?
Oh, they are exponentially better than I ever was. And I could say, I think my batchmates from IIT would also agree. The young talent passing out today and the young talent passing out, let's say 10 years ago, or the 20 years ago, like 18 years ago that I passed out, there is a huge difference. Of course, there's different levels of people at all times, but those who are competitive, those who are passionate today and passing out, they just have so much more. They're just much more smarter, because they've seen so much evolution, and especially when you look at technology, they've seen startups. So many of them have done internships in startups and in other technology companies. They read a lot. They understand about the culture of Silicon Valley and other parts of the world where these revolutions are happening. Right? They read about the entire sort of process of liberalism. So they're pretty smart, I would say, on an average, very, very smart compared to what I was.
Okay, well that's pretty encouraging, and that's only in a kind of 10-15 year period. But does that make you bullish on the future of India Inc., Bipin?
Yeah, absolutely. I think India is going to be a big technology. It's already on its way to be a big technology superpower. I know US and China have US for more than 100 years, and China in the last 20 years have really stepped up. But India, I think, is cutting in. It's stepping on right now, and the only reason that is happening is the people, the young talent that I talked about, who are very, very ambitious. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, anybody who passed out of IIT, 30 years ago, only wanted to go to US or Europe, and they wanted to work there. They wanted to settle and create a family, get an H-1B visa and green card, and then US citizenship. That's not the case. The people who are passing out today or 5 years ago even, they know that India is a land of opportunity, and you can build business, or you can work in a startup. You can almost earn as much in India as you can in, let's say, Silicon Valley or Texas or any other place anywhere in the world. And there are 100 plus companies which are unicorns or the $1 billion plus. So I think there's a big future ahead of us.
Okay, so we're kind of reversing the brain drain, as you say, Bipin. This is a kind of tricky question, but if you were comparing the technology culture in China, whether it's, Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, is a massive country, it will be different with, let's say, the Valley, and then kind of back to your neck of the woods. Can you put your fingers on any differences, and do you have a thesis on why India might win in that kind of great three-way struggle?
So I think there is the evolution happens based on where the general population is in terms of the penetration of technology, in terms of per capita income, just in terms of how comfortable you are. Like you look at the Maslow's, hierarchy. People in Silicon Valley, of course, there's great startups coming out from there, but the CEOs there today care a lot about other things beyond money, right? You can see that already happening. China, therefore, people just like you have this 996 culture where, you're working like crazy and building crazy companies. We've seen that and pretty a lot of burnout and still growing very successfully. So I think India is in the maybe 10 years behind China in terms of where China was 10 years ago in early 2000s, or 2010. And we have enough people today who are young and who are very, very, very hungry. And India doesn't have much natural resources, right? I mean, so the only biggest natural resource we have are people, and smart, young, educated people. So I think they're going to make it happen. I already see it in startups and in other places, and people are pushing it on. So I think India will. I'm not going to say leapfrog China or US like in the next 5 to 10 years, but it will have a very sharp trajectory of growth over the next 20, 30 years.
Okay, and just staying on India, if by some magical transformation you turned into the Prime Minister of India tomorrow for a day or two, you might need longer than a day or two, but what would you enact to make life easier or more encouraging for guys like you? Another tricky question.
I think I would make India and Indian government like the biggest adopters of technology. I would look at all the institutions who are very big public-owned entities. I would make sure that they become the best at technology, because that would be hopefully something that I could control as a prime minister. And in general, lay the framework and the infrastructure for this to happen at a very big, massive scale. So some of this is already happening. It could happen much faster. So things like, for example, I give you an example of crypto, right? I mean, we should be doing crypto in India like right now, and we have taken some steps towards it. But look at other countries. I mean, crypto is here to stay. So, or crypto, or I would say decentralized finance. So we have done many good things. Real-time payments in the last 5 years, India is the number one now in the world. But we could do so many things faster. But that would be my direction.
We're in the final straight now, Bipin. So just a couple of things about you. I mean, you'll be a hero. You may not want to be, but you will be a hero to lots of younger boys and girls watching the show, looking up at you. And they probably want to know, who are your heroes? Have you got heroes?
Well, yeah, I think that's the piece. I think, I read a lot about people like entrepreneurs, great entrepreneurs from Silicon Valley, but my heroes are not the Elon Musk and Steve Jobs, which everybody, identifies with, but the kinds, at people who started Intel, Andy Grove, and, other entrepreneurs. But in general, specifically, what I found is that, focusing on a hero or even 2-3 heroes is very, very challenging, because all heroes eventually have something that, you may not like. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to be worshipped as a hero. And so I don't do that as well.
Or at least, if people are going to look up to you, don't look up to you every day of the week, maybe on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Right. We'll wrap up, Bipin, with a kind of philosophical question. And, it's for you and Upasana, who is, very much with you, the creator of this. You've got shareholders, so MobiKwik is about shareholder value. You can't get away from that. But what's it really about? What do you want it to be really about? What is the enduring appeal of MobiKwik? Why will people remember you when the shareholders have long gone?
People would remember it for the impact and the impact of financial inclusion using technology to get people up to the curve, people who've never used payments, people have got access to credit, the kind of products that we're making, buy now, pay later, give a credit card in everybody's hand in their smartphone, give a bank to everybody in their smartphone. I think that's the kind of impact we want to be remembered with, and hopefully for decades.
Okay, well that's great. It's like the old maxim that, you know, if you give a man a fishing rod, he can fish for life. Give a man a fish, he eats for one day. Give him a credit card, he's set for life. Bipin, you've been a great guest. You can't avoid being a hero. I think you're a bit of a hero to me, but I'll take your point about not relying on you entirely. Thank you so much for being on $1 Billion Idea, and we look forward to having you and Upasana back next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Jasper. It was a pleasure talking to you.
From our studios live in New York City, I'm Susan Tehrani, and this is WION, World is One.
President Trump certainly did not authorize the use of National Guard to protect the building.
People from many different countries, some who have been in America for generations, others who are more newly arrived.
So what Joe Biden has tried to do is definitely try to frame the election as a